Welcome back, everyone. In this video, our goal is to demo how we can create fields in our landscape through the use of our landscape grass nodes inside of our landscape material. Now, I am going to be demonstrating this inside of my landscape blueprint brush level. You can be within any level that you really want. Doesn't really matter. But the important part here is that we come under our landscape foliage grass type directory. And just as we did before, we're going to right-click, create a new foliage landscape grass type. And this one we're going to call LG underscore field underscore 01. Let's double-click on this guy to open it up, dock it across the top. And we're just going to add one grass variety here. Expand this out. Now, I don't have a cornstalk type of mesh or anything super field-like. So we're just going to use our SM underscore bush that is found in the starter content. Feel free to use whatever you want here. Going to slot that guy in. Our grass density, I'm going to set this down to 50. And now this is the important part to make fields, this use of the grid. We do want this checked on. However, this placement jitter, we want to left click here and crank this all the way down to 0. This is on a 0 to 1 scale. If you want to have fine looking, organized, symmetrical rows, set this down to 0. And we can actually play around with this value in just a little bit so you can see what that's going to do. Okay, that's really all we need to do here, although I'm going to check off receives decal in cast dynamic shadows as well. I'll leave the rest of these settings as normal. Let's just save this. And now we can jump into our landscape material. Again, you can find these under your landscape materials folder. I currently have M material created, slotted in my landscape actor. Some of you may have M underscore landscape if you took the material shortcut. Okay, I'm going to double click on my landscape material here. Here is where we have been adding our grass types. Just going to zoom on up here. Let's go ahead and with that node selected, we're going to add another grass type to our array, clicking that plus button. We click down here, you see immediately it says, hey, there's an input missing. Yes, we know that. Let's exit out of there. And this time we will name our input here. We'll just call it field. Field is fine. This name again does not really matter. And I will slot in our grass type of fields. Okay? Now, the important part comes with how we name this next node. I'm going to right-click here. Again, do a search for landscape, and this is where we want to slot in a landscape layer sample. Okay? Now, I want our field to populate our mud layer. So right here with this node selected in the details panel, I am going to put in mud. Enter, and I will plug this into our field. So again, here, this node is where we define which layer we want to apply our grass type to. I want field to be on layer mud. Okay, I'm going to save this out. And it's going to take a little while to recompile, so I will join you when this is finished. Okay, and we are back. Now, prior to shooting this video, I went ahead and went into my landscape mode, paint mode, and I selected some mud here and painted that onto my landscape. So now, if I zoom up in on my mud layer, you're seeing the grass appear all around the edge. You can see that I have bushes all in a fine row. Now let's just play around with some of these parameters here to see how this impacts things. So if I go back into my LG field, and let's just say I change my grass density here to 10, hitting enter, jump back into my level, and you can see how you've got more spaced apart crops, so to speak. We'll call these bushes crops. Now I'm going to set this back to, let's go something in the middle here, like 25. Now this placement jitter, again, if you want those nice, neat rows, you set that to 0. If I was to change this to something like 0.5 and look back in my level, you can see how it's not in nice, neat rows anymore. So if making fields is your goal and you want them to be perfectly symmetrical, you want this grid on and the placement jitter to be more towards 0. If you want the rows to be less perfect, you can scale this more towards the 1 side of the spectrum. This is with a value of 0.8, and you can see that doesn't really look like rows at all. So there you have it, guys. That is how you can create some fields. Just slot in a grass mesh, use grid, placement jitter down to 0, assign it to your grass node here in your landscape material, and voila. Guys, that is going to do it all for this video. We will see you in the next one.